we go. This is our last installment in the book of James. This is James number 5.
Okay. Well, I've been here in a while. We're on James 5. We were in Proverbs when I was here last time.
Yeah, well, we've gone
Okay.
through all the books
James
of James, which are
Okay.
5. And we're doing it in the Amplified Classic. Hallelujah. Right, okay, I'll just have to mess with it. Chapter 1. Come now, you rich people, weep aloud and lament over the miseries, the woes that are surely coming upon you. What's he talking about? He says, look what's going to happen, brother, because this is what you're sowing, and this is what you're going to reap. Your abundant wealth has rotten and is ruined, and your many garments have become moth-eaten. Their whole livelihood, everything that they've held as a god to themselves, their money, their riches, their attire, their suits, their whatever, and today it'd be your house, your car, whatever. This is what they're talking about. Your gold and silver are completely rusted through, and their rust will be testimony against you, and it will devour your flesh if it were fire. Then you have heaped together treasures for the last day. All about putting God second and money first. See that? And this is way back when. And it's the same stuff today. How many people that you know that put money before they put anything? This is really interesting the way this guy does. He says, but look, here are the wages that you have withheld by fraud from the laborers who have reaped your fields. So you're screwing everybody you know. We know people like that for $1, and they'll take advantage of you. And they're saving it up for what? For the last days. My wife saves her Social Security, and I have to pay for everything. She wouldn't spend a dime if her soul depended on it. And it ain't that much money. And why are you saving it up for? But, you know, it's crazy. Here on earth, you have abandoned yourself to soft, prodigal living and to the pleasures of self-indulgence and self-gratification. You have fattened your heart in a day of slaughter. And where does God live? In your heart. See, and their heart's so fat for self-absorption that they're sacrificing their eternal life for this elementary life that we're on this physical world for 80, 90, 100 years. And they don't understand. See, people think this is who you are, and it's not who you are. All this body is a container. It contains your soul and your spirit, which lasts forever. And it's got to go somewhere because it's made out of energy. And the only reason there's no spooks or ghosts or all that other crap they talk about is because without a body, you can't be on earth. And a spook is supposed to be somebody that's dead, and their soul's roaming around here. That's crap. Doesn't work that way. All demons are generally from fallen angels who had Nephilims and all that. There are demons, and that's what happens when they die. They became demons. But they can't be on the earth without a body. And they found skeletons all over everywhere. So they can't be here. So that's the paradox of don't be afraid. There is no demonic influence that has any power over you at all. Now you can choose to have one come in and possess you because of the power they've lied to you that they have, and they ain't got no power anyway. So why would you want to be possessed by a demon? Oh, all the power he doesn't give you any power, dumbass. It's just a possession that they want so they can stay on earth. They did that in Jesus' time. You remember the demoniac that was chained up and he was hollering and screaming? And what did the first thing he did when Jesus came? And he was full of legion, not just one, but legions. He got down on his knees and started praying and worshiping Jesus. So see, the guy still had control, even though he was full of legion. And then they asked him to, throw us into the pigs. Of course, Ham and Jews, and they had something to do with that. And then they went off and drowned themselves. But
I think it's, they said, are you here to torment us before our time?
yeah,
Didn't they say that?
after he bowed down and worshiped Jesus, because he was in his right mind then. He fell on his knees when he saw him.
Right.
And then he started speaking to the demon. Well, the demon spoke to him and he
Right.
spoke back, yes. But see, you still had control then.
Yeah.
So there's no demon or demons on this earth that's ever been on this earth has 100% control of you, even though you've invited them in for the power they're supposed to give you, which is, once again, crap. This is what I want you guys to understand. You don't need any protection when you're on this earth if you believe everything that God's given you through Jesus. See that? That's why you don't cast demons out. You don't run around just hollering at the devil, trying to exorcise him from the room. Anyway.
Yeah, I think I told you, I got a new Denali, whatever, I don't know, I forget what it's called.
Chevrolet, yeah.
It's
A what?
Denali, it's a
GMC.
it's GMC.
SUV.
Like a Tahoe or something?
Yeah, like a Tahoe, but anyway, so I had this thought of getting carjacked. And I said, you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to just blow a hole right through a carjacker and say, oh, please, let me get you in here and shoot through the door. So I asked Smith, what should I get? And he told me. And then the Holy Ghost, I asked the Holy Ghost, he said, no, you don't need to do any of that ever.
Yeah.
You've never needed to do that. You've never needed
You're never gonna be an asset.
No.
That's right.
And so, yeah.
The only reason you get in those positions is because that deep down inside of you,
You're thinking it.
You're producing
putting out those vibes, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're bringing the improbability to the possibility,
Yeah.
and it's collapsing into that possibility.
And
Or you go to
they'll
like,
see you
someplace
out.
stupid like downtown.
Because that's what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
you're thinking about it.
Yeah, you
Oh, yeah.
originate.
You're talking about it.
Yes.
Yeah, Nancy went to Tech in downtown, right by, terrible area. She never had any problems, never had any problems. 'Cause they didn't go out at 3 in the morning in the hood,
Well,
I got my
all you're
Jeep.
doing is inviting trouble when you're walking with a computer in your hand and a
Oh, yeah.
cell phone in the other at 3 o'clock in the morning
Oh, yeah.
downtown.
I got my Jeep stolen, and at 9 o'clock at night, and I had cleaners, and the guy jumped in it when I left the car running and took off, and I was chasing him, almost got him. I called the police up, and I said, put a unit on Moore's Mill on the bridge, and put one down here. There's a taillight burn on the right side, and you can stop the guy. And the dispatcher said, do you have a gun in your car? And I said, no. I said, why? She said, you sound like a guy that have a gun. She said, we can't do that. We can't move that fast. And I said, okay, fine. So Beverly had a car that looked like a detective car. And that's been, when the cell phones were lit up real big, had a box.
Oh, yeah, the box,
yeah.
I went straight to the hood. And from midnight until about 4 a.m., I went to chop shops, went everywhere with that cell phone in that car, looking and peering at everybody. They were all just backing up. Hooker came up and said, hey, honey. And I said, you don't want to talk to me right now, baby. There all kinds of things will come down on you. And she backed off. Went all around, and I was this close to it. I was within a block of it, where the police found it. But anyway, so the point being is, there's no fear if you don't.
Yeah, you were doing it on anger. But you're right.
I was doing it in joy. I was going to find that car. I was praying in tongues the whole time.
I'm glad you didn't find it, because then there are, dead bodies.
Yeah, that's natural. The Holy Ghost would have had them running. I would
Okay.
put my key in, thing up.
Okay. But look, here are the wages that you have withheld by fraud from the laborers who have reaped your fields, crying out for vengeance, and the cries of the harvesters have come to the ears of the Lord of hosts. Any time that you have an evil thought, which turns into an evil emotion, where do you think it goes? Because you're going to express it every time your heart beats. Where does it go?
Goes out to the.
Yeah, the ether. It goes out. And guess what? God hears you. He has to, because he knows it all. is omnipresent, omnipotent, omni everything. But that's what I'm talking about. See, when that happens, what do we do? You know, what do you do when that evil thought
Cast
is
it down.
generated into an emotion and it goes out?
Cast it down.
Pardon?
Cast
Send it away before it becomes an emotion. The first time it
Thank
comes,
you.
because it'll come into your, it'll come into your mind, negative stuff, and then you're like, well, that's bullshit, I'm sitting there, and just don't even think about it. It's kind of like if you're sick all the time, you don't say, oh Lord, I hope I get better. Just say, thank you, Jesus, you give me divine, supernatural health and well-being, and you don't get sick, because
All right, you celebrate.
Yeah.
You're in a constant state of celebration of who you are and what you have.
yeah.
That's why you don't pray for anything. And that's hard for people to believe.
And you also have to accept the fact that most people think you're crazy. So if they think they're crazy, it's actually a good thing. Most Christians don't believe this stuff.
Oh, yeah, you're persecuted for the word's
Oh, yeah.
sake. And that's where that comes from. Hallelujah. You have condemned and have murdered the righteous, innocent man while he offers no resistance. Now, that could mean physically, it could be mentally, it could be financially.
Financially.
It could be spiritually, see? And that's what they're talking about. In today's, we generally don't get killed, but we do get harassed mentally, socially, physically, and spiritually.
And financially.
And financially,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Because they're always tearing at something to try to put you down because you're too high of a level. What that means is, I want you to be down here with me worshiping this mud hut over here and messing on a tree. That's what I want you to be, but you're up here. That makes you better than me, only in their minds. You're not any better than they are, but you're walking a higher plane. The vibration that you're producing is at a higher rate.
Yeah, so we know some partners, we won't mention names, that had $2 million in cash to pay a guy, and I said we're going to pay him. They said no, we're not. They kicked me out of the deal, didn't pay him, and so now he's filed suit against all of us. And the Lord's saying, you could trash these other two partners because they connived this, but they kicked you out. So you just follow my prompting, because we don't want to necessarily trash them. But if that other attorney starts interrogating you and asking, then you have to tell the truth. So they murdered this righteous guy, and he offered no resistance. Murdered $2 million out of his pocket.
Seed time and harvest.
Yeah,
That's what you're doing.
yeah.
Doesn't have to be money. It's forgiveness for trying to bring you down to their operational level, see. But they're, once again, who's their God? Money. Because they didn't want to let go of that money. Hallelujah. So be patient, brethren, as you wait till the coming of the Lord. See how the farmer waits expectantly for the precious harvest from the land. See how he keeps up his patient vigil over it until it receives the early and late rains. Well, all he's doing is giving you a little ditty in farming. Latter rains, early rains. That you've got to have rain or you can't grow a crop. And if you got no rain, you got no crop, you got no harvest. And that's what this guy's saying. Let's say you're in a business deal and everything, all hell's breaking loose, nothing's working, and you're doing this and that and that and this and this and this. You're doing that, this and this. And you're doing that, this. Where's God at? He ain't
Nowhere to be
there.
found.
Yeah. So sometimes it works, most of the time it won't. If you put God, because God's always there. God never leaves you. He's always right there with you. He's part of your heart. Why wouldn't you just celebrate the end from the beginning? What does that mean? It's already done. See, and walk in the understanding of, I walk in life, light, and love. I love my fellow man. You know, I And you're not repeating this to Jesus because he already knows all that. But what you are doing is you're celebrating that everything's turned out fine, everything's great, harvest is in the barns, you're walking in the sunlight, you've got a pocket full of money. That's what you do, even though none of that is manifested in this world. You see that? See how that works?
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Drinking water. But this is what we do. We don't sit there and dog cuss everybody and say, woe is me, I'm lower than dirt, you know, I ground on that piss. That's not what it's talking about. This is how you answer all that negativity with what? Positive worship. By worshiping God, that just means you're celebrating you're one with God. And you're not praying for this to happen or that to happen or anything else happen. Ron is exactly what he's talking about. You didn't dog cuss those guys. He could have. He didn't. He could have made their lives miserable. He could have talked to their wives. Most of them, their wives don't know what the heck they're doing anyway. But these guys are devious. They're typical children of the world. And when you're like that, I don't know if you're going to go to heaven or not. So, you also must be patient. Establish your foundation. Establish your heart in foundational truths. Praise and worship. That's what he's talking about. Strengthen and confirm them in the final certainty. What is that final certainty? Everything is fine. I walk in life, light, and love. There is no repression, there is no discouragement, there's no lack, there's no nothing. Because I walk in this on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis. For the coming of the Lord is very near. Well, guess what? He's already here. He's in your heart. There is no coming of God for us. It's for all the unbelievers out there that when he sits on this throne for 1,000 years in Israel and he reigns, well, there's still going to be sin in the world. There's still going to be people getting killed. There's still going to have all this other stuff. It's not utopia, so please get that out of your brain. Do not complain, brethren, against one another, so that you yourselves may be judged. Look, the judge is already standing at the very door. You're not being judged by God, you're being judged by the energy that's coming off your body. And that energy is either going to be good, positive, or it's going to be negative. It's all it can be. It's either going to be in fear or it's going to be in love. And God's not judging you. You're judging yourself. And whatever you say, whatever you think, that emotion that you create in your mind will be spoken from your heart. And that's what he's talking about. Your heart. It's all about your heart. See that? So if you get cut off in traffic, you don't start telling them they're a sunny beach and they're going to end up in Florida. You don't do that because you're sending a negative thing out.
Yeah.
What you do is celebrate and send life, light, and love to them. That's one of my worst things that I do.
I just pretend like I'm in a NASCAR race. Very missing.
But it's funny, but it's not funny when it happens.
Yeah.
And when you dog cuss somebody, all you're doing is dog cussing yourself because they can't hear you anyway.
Yeah.
And your ears are picking up what your voice is saying. You can hear your wife dog cuss you. But, you know, consider the source. That's what I always do. Do not complain, brethren, against one another. Don't cuss each other out. So that if you yourselves may not be judged. Because if you say something nasty, you're not being judged by Jesus. It's the world's way the world works. It's that seed time and harvest. That's a law, a spiritual law. It's going to come back. The judge is already standing at that very door. And that judge isn't Jesus, although this is what it's implying. It's the judgment of what you're saying. See, you've got control. You get to dog cuss or not dog cuss. You get to say a blessing or not a blessing. You get to send out life, light, and love or something other than that. See that? So it's always going to be dependent on what you do. As an example for suffering and ill treatment, as an example of suffering and ill treatment, together with patience, brethren, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord as his messenger. All of this, we got through Genesis through Revolutions. It's always going to say love. It's always going to be about love. Even though they're throwing rocks at you, what do? You speak love to them. When Jesus, when they wanted to stone that woman for having adultery, what did he do? He wrote in the dirt. What was he writing? Their names. And then he says, well, one of you that doesn't have any sin, you get to throw the first rock. And they looked down and they saw their name in the dirt, and what did they do? They walked off. And then Jesus said, there's nobody here to kill you, lady. What are you going to do? And she was all blah, 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 blah. He said, go and sin no more. Because if you sin again, guess what? That puts you back exactly where you were. And this time I may not be here, and they may stone you to death. You see that? That's what we're talking about. Hallelujah. You know how we call those blessed, happy, who were satisfied, who endured, who have heard of the endurance of Job, and you have seen the Lord's purpose and how he richly blessed him in the end, inasmuch as the Lord is full of pity, compassion, tenderness, and mercy. That's all you're ever going to get out of God or Jesus, is tenderness, forgiveness, mercy, grace, and all the other stuff. That's all he's got, because he's a God of love. You can't have those other things if you've got love. You can't have a competing energy in God. God is love. When these people have these near-death experiences, when they die and they go into this light and they say, man, it's pure love, I don't want to come back. And that's what they feel. And that's born again or not, they still feel the love. But guess what? If they're pure evil, what happens? They get dragged down to hell. So we know that the essence of everything that's in this higher dimensional realm that our spirit and soul go is made out of love. That's why we want kingdom living now. Love. That's what it's talking about. You want to live it in an influence of love. Even though it's a world that's fallen, you can still live in that love if you choose to. But above all things, my brethren, do not swear, either by heaven or by earth, or by any other oath, but let your yes be a simple yes, and your no be a simple no, so that you may not sin and fall under condemnation. That's the worst thing can happen to a person, is condemnation. And guess where it comes from? Self-condemnation. You can never be good enough to satisfy the self-condemnation, because it only believes in perfect, and you'll never be perfect until you get rid of this body. Can't. See that? So if you feel like, I've been down so long it looks like up to me, and you want to dog cuss yourself and do all this stuff, don't. It has no value. Is anyone among you afflicted, ill-treated, suffering evil? You should pray. Is anyone glad at heart? You should sing praises to God. That's what we're talking about, in from the beginning. If anyone among you is afflicted, ill-treated, suffering evil, you should pray. Hey God, I love you. I'm walking in your lifelike love. Praise God. I'm the head, not the tail. I'm above and not below. I'm more than a conqueror. I am a child of the Most High God. I'm Jesus' kid. I'm the king of this earth. Hallelujah. That's what he's talking about. Is anyone glad at heart? That's your heart speaking, not your head. You see that? Okay. Is anyone among you sick? You should call in the church elders. And you know what a church elder is in this interpretation of the Bible? spiritual guides. When's the last time you heard spiritual guide in a religious? You think these spiritual guide are these when you're in an out-of-body experience. You know, they're bad for you. Church elders doesn't mean they've been in church for 50 years. They got nothing to do with it. Generally, they're just there to cover the corners. A spiritual guide is what? A guide to show you where you are, where you could be, if you put your attention on God. That's what a spiritual guide's for. And the church has got all this screwed up. It's not about the people that work in the church. Not saying you shouldn't, I'm not saying that, but you can't work to become a spiritual guide. Everybody has the ability to do it. Most people don't know how.
It just means leaders in the church, and you would think that the leaders in the church would have the experience to be able to figure out some of this stuff.
Yeah, but they don't. How many people in your church is an elder and a spiritual guide, Eddie?
Not-
You're the only one I know.
Yeah, Lord, my translation says elders, spiritual leaders. So that's just somebody who's in touch with the Holy Spirit and listening to God and living in His spirit, not His flesh. You know?
Yeah, anybody.
Yeah, I mean, anybody, yeah.
Yeah, everybody has the doing it, but most people, one, don't want the responsibility because they think you'll screw up,
Yeah.
low self-esteem.
Yeah.
And two, they think they gotta earn it and jump through the hoops, and they ain't jumped through the hoops yet, and they hadn't gone to the school that they were being taught in the church that you pay for.
But you know something, one of our problems is we don't have any young people that are learning and growing. They don't even come. And when they do come, they spend the 30 minutes, you know, sitting there listening to a preacher preach, then they go home, and there's no discipleship type thing.
Yeah.
They don't do anything to help them to grow and mature. So what's gonna happen eventually?
Well, he's gonna die.
The church, right, I heard a guy speak last week, 70% of the denominational churches are on a downslope just like that.
Got nothing to offer.
That's a scary thought.
How many acres you got there?
$55 million worth of property.
All right, that's what we need to do with that place.
Well, hey, we had that choice about a year ago, and everybody voted, you know, to continue on, and a lot of people voted to put, build a little church over here in this corner and sell the rest of it off for high-rise stuff.
So they do sell
But if they had to do it again, I believe it'd go past.
So if they sell it to the diocese, get the money, the church,
No,
or who would get it?
well, we got a mother church, which is Second Ponce Leon.
Okay,
They're the ones started us, and then we started Dunwoody Baptist.
okay.
So in my estimation, we give half of it to Second Ponce and half of it to Dunwoody Baptist and let them do mission work with it and
Okay, yeah.
stuff. But we're sitting there, it's going down and going down.
Well, that's
And
if they don't
we
preach
can't
the
get a
gospel.
pastor,
Yeah.
we can't get a leader, we can't get anybody that's got a vision. And, you know, I don't have the answers for it, but we've got a search committee that's trying, and they're interviewing people, and it's a small community of ministers, you know, they talk among themselves. We got the reputation that we run preachers off down there. So, but if we come up with $300,000 or $400,000 for a preacher, I guarantee we can find one.
And that's not right.
It's not right.
No,
It ain't right.
You're not supposed to be working for the money, you're supposed to be,
Well,
and you're supposed to get paid, not saying you don't get paid, but you should get, you know, it should be God first, money second.
well,
but any place that preaches like, you know, close to the real gospel is growing. You know, that doesn't preach condemnation,
there's churches,
shame,
yeah.
that preaches grace, that you've been forgiven, you've been given everything, you've
It's
been
love.
healed.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
all
when you preach
But-
that stuff, it's such good news, like Jesus.
But-
People are coming from everywhere, but then
But
churches don't preach
if
that.
our search committee though went after that guy, somebody that's successful in his church, what's it gonna take to get him? You're stealing him. It's like a headhunter. You gotta go steal a successful guy.
See, you're working to do it yourselves, you're not putting Jesus in a position to go find a guy for you. See, there's the
So
difference.
he's already got
But
it.
you're,
He's got the perfect
you're not
guy.
taught to do that in the
I know that.
in the Baptist church.
But that's why I'm not on the committee.
Well, not anymore, because you
No.
resigned, because they won't listen to you.
Yeah, they won't.
Well, look, their way ain't gonna work.
No,
It ain't about,
No, and they'll watch it go down the tube,
yeah, it's,
sitting there justifying their action.
and sitting there in their pew that they paid for. But see, that's wrong. You get enough people, 4, 5, 6 people together, and you celebrate Jesus bringing you the perfect man to come into that building and do it, 10, 15 minutes every Sunday or whatever when you meet.
Yeah.
If you do that and celebrate that the end has already taken place.
Yeah.
even
See
though
what he
the
looks like,
manifestation
what his
isn't there,
family looks like, who he is. Oh, yeah.
and just celebrate that he's there, and guess what'll happen?
He'll
be
get there.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
but that's not the Baptist way.
Oh,
I'm
no.
not knocking Baptist churches, but they're not taught
Well,
spirituality.
they need to be knocked down.
Well, look, if you,
Because they ain't got any sin.
well, of course not.
Hey, well, let me take you an example, prime example, right? I go to we went down to Sanibel last week. The red tide's been there for 2 months, and they're getting, we stay at this island, and it's a small place. There's probably like, 100 rooms and tiny. And the guy said in the last 2 months when we got there, they had gotten like every day 100 gallons or more of fish, dead fish, stunk like high heaven, terrible. Been there 2 months. So Janelle's like, oh, we're gonna have red tide, it's gonna be terrible. I'm like, no, we're not, we're gonna have red tide. So I just spent every day when I was talking to Janelle, I just saw the beach totally, they had like dolphins wash up, a 28-foot whale shark wash up, just like crap, like you can't even smell it, you can't go outside, it's dangerous, So we go, I'm just, every day I'm just thanking Jesus that I just see this clear water, a clear beach, beautiful weather, beautiful beach. We get down there on Sunday, the guy's like, yeah, the red tide left Friday. I don't know, it's been there forever. And it went down to Naples like an hour away. So I go to this Monday group and I was telling them that, we're studying John. So we have the same power Jesus has. We control the weather and that stuff. Like, no, you can't. I'm like, okay, you're right, you can't. But like this stuff that we have, and it's not because I'm so good I can harmonize and do this thing, but it's just it's our inheritance of what we have. But churches don't teach that stuff.
You're over the
very
weather
good.
and not under the weather.
I mean, but
I remember Ron speaking to a tornado one time, weren't you?
I think I did that a few times.
Oh, I did a bunch.
I saw something on Facebook where they had a tornado coming right at them, right at the people. Tornadoes coming right here, and they just held their hands up and spoke to it, and then the thing just went somewhere else.
Hey, we played golf in Oklahoma, and the tornadoes would come down the fairways, get out of here. And you go back up in the clouds. It actually,
Hey, one other thing, Lloyd, so I was on, I love animal stuff, so I saw this animal thing, so just the energy and the power we have. There was this elephant charging this guy, and it doesn't matter if he's a Christian or not, he has the same power.
Yes.
Made in God's image. So this elephant's charging this guy, he just holds up his hand and says, halt, to the elephant, and the elephant stopped. And it wasn't like a trained elephant, it was just like in the wild somewhere. Instead of oh, he's gonna trample me to death, and get all that stuff. Just like animals can tell when you're afraid, and they'll attack the one that's afraid. I mean, it's just
you get what you say.
yeah, I mean, it's so.
You say no,
Yeah.
then no. If you say, oh, you're gonna get
Yeah,
up.
I mean, it's like,
Basic stuff.
when we get to heaven, most people are gonna be like, damn, I never knew this was possible.
Yeah. I heard that one time and I didn't hear do it.
No, yeah, because it's that flight or fight syndrome, which we all have,
Yeah.
and it's not really a fight or flight, but we're in this intense strain of just the world system, because look, this is not a natural place for us to be, the world. This
Oh, yeah.
the way it is now, because it's fallen.
Yeah.
What did it fall from? Grace. There's no grace in this world other than what we produce. Jesus gave us grace and faith. How? It was a gift, not from us, but from Him. We didn't generate it, it was a gift, just like everything else He's given us. Well, you can receive that gift or not. Eternal life, you can receive it, and all churches teach you eternal life, except for the Hubba-Bub and Boogaloo churches that worship, dead gods. But everybody wants to teach that, but there's more to it than dying and going to heaven. You can have that heavenly understanding here on earth.
I mean, didn't he say to pray heaven, the effects of heaven down here on earth?
Yeah, once. You don't pray for it, you celebrate it because you've already got it because it was a gift. That doesn't mean you just got faith through grace. Well, what's faith mean? Let's define the word faith. It means all, everything. all your 5 physical senses, then that's the only thing that you got tied into this reality, and you get that information. It's the only way you live. Without the senses, you can't live. 60% of your brain is in the upper lobe here, which is about 40% of the total brain, but that is where you produce your sight. And that takes up almost 80% of your capacity to bring that sight. And without sight, you're screwed with your 5 physical senses, because you've lost 80% of your sense understanding through your sight. So you have other sights have to, other realms of that. Senses have to take over for your loss of sight. That's why sight is so important. That's why we use it so much. See, anytime you want to get into a meditative state, the first thing you do is close your eyes. Why? You disconnect visually from your surroundings. What does that do? It brings a chemical reaction in your brain. Slows the brain down. The autonomic system that digests your food, keeps your heart beating, and all the other stuff. You don't ever think about that. Well, it slows all that down. And then you do your deep breathing exercises, and when you get into that, then you can change the level of your mind from the beta, and you can go all the way down to theta. Some people can go down to delta, and that's as low as you can go. Well, yeah, there's gamma, but most people don't get there. But anyway, this is all. How do you start all that? Close your eyes. So see, that shows you how important vision is to us as children of the Most High God. See, okay.
Yeah, Lord, it's like, it says faith in Hebrews, the definition is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
Perceiving
So,
as real fact
yeah.
what's not available
Yeah.
to the senses.
So God gave us, the reason everything's so screwed up is we're made, and our heart is made for Eden. That's what He made us for. But man screwed up, so we have this crazy world that's always full of lack. So basically, if you just, God gave us an imagination to imagine all the beautiful things in heaven, you know, bringing that down to earth, creating our own reality. But most people, their imagination, they think of negative things, all these bad things are going to happen, lack. So then you're not in your spirit and creating with God what He wants for us.
Exactly.
And then that's why everybody's so screwed up. Then you tell them the truth, and then, you know, some people want to hear it, and they're like, wow, I'm going to try to do that, you know. But some people are just like, no, that doesn't sound right, you know.
70% of all the information that your 5 physical senses bring into your spirit and soul from the day that you're conceived in your mama's womb, 70% is in fear. So you're already being polluted in fear when you're in your mama's womb. That's 67.7% of everything that your mind grabs a hold of is based in fear. Not truth, not faith, but fear. And that's how you pop out of your mama's womb. So see, that right there tells you that we've got like 3/4 of every emotion, every feeling, every thought that we bring in from our senses is going to be negative. And is that going to affect us? Yes, it does. That's why little children are afraid. They're not supposed to be, but they are. They want to be protected. That's why little babies hug on their moms. That wasn't that way in Adam and Eve in the garden before the fall. Adam and Eve, all they had to do was imagine, and they had it. There wasn't any instrumentality. There weren't any machines. They didn't need it. They didn't need any clothes because they never thought about that. That was irrelevant. Had no value. And when Adam decided that he wanted to do it his way, of course he had to do it because his wife screwed up. So she didn't get sent out of the garden and he stayed. So when that happened, boom, it started. And what did mankind do? Instead of losing their ability to imagine it and it happened, they had to build a machine to make it happen. And that's where I meant, see, right now we're on these. We didn't have those growing up. There wasn't any cell phones. We were on landlines and there was multiple lines on that line. You remember that?
Used to have
Party line.
Party line. I couldn't remember. Yeah, party line. My mother was so damn cheap, she always had 16 people on all the time. I'd answer the phone. Alex,
That's when you learn the dog cuss something.
Oh, I knew that. That's like 70%, Eddie.
That's when you're on there and you're talking and say, I think somebody else is listening.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
then you'd be in a conversation, they'd pick up the dial, go,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on the phone, dumbass. You know. But that's how we grew up. We didn't have this is what we're talking about, instrumentality. They didn't, cars. We didn't need cars. We could think and be there. Back in Adam and Eve. But now we had cars, and we got airplanes. Now we got to fly. You know how long it takes to fly? That's below light speed. That's correct. We can fly 500 miles an hour. Still takes you all day to get to Australia. We didn't have to do any of that. We just thought it and we were there. We were outside of time, space, and matter.
Yeah.
And when we create it in a machine, it's never going to be as good as what we had. It's a facsimile that is not as good because it's based in time, space, and matter. All machines are, because that's what they're made out of. Well, our imagination is not ruled by those laws. So it's never going to be the way it can be. And that's what we've given up. Yeah, I know. Why? Because nobody
For
told
a
us.
sick world.
It is. It's a fallen world. That's why we're children of God, not children of this world. And that's why every time we move, we're causing waves to go against the river of the waves of the world. That's why the Illuminati and all those people are so pissed off at Trump, because he doesn't do it.
Right.
He's going his way. He's also a born-again believer too, by the way. Even though he's screwed up, he's still born again.
But he's a young Christian.
Yes, very young.
Well, here's the good news. Adam and Eve could do what you're talking about. Then they fell. Then Jesus came back. And since he was not born of that fallen seed, he was in a flesh and blood body. But he could do those things, and he did them.
Right.
He raised the dead and walked on water, and he traveled through time just like instantly. And so what did he do? He went to the cross, and through his death, burial, and resurrection, that's given us the exact same position. We can do all those things. And so that's where we are. That's where we are. Yeah, we can do more. But a lot of people just need to get to the point of, yeah, we can do them. The more, that'll blow their mind. So yeah, we can do those same things. So we'll do everything you're talking about. Because Jesus did it, and he showed us that. Well, he was in the body, and we can do more than that, but we've got to get people just to that point that we can at least do those things.
And that's going against everything
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
they're being taught
Yeah.
in the world. See, 70%,
Yeah.
school system,
Yeah.
colleges,
Yeah.
yeah, but it can be done, one person at a time. There's 5 of us in here right now. If we go out today and you see somebody in need, it could be to open a car door or hold the door open or whatever, put the groceries in there, whatever it is. And they let you do it and they thank you, just say, I'm doing my Father's work. Or whatever you want to say, but, relate it back to your belief in Jesus.
Hey,
And if you do, sir?
last Friday, I took this boy that played for me, that's just got a kidney transplant.
Yeah.
And he can having to go back in and just little infection,
Yeah, well, it's rejection.
And trying to get through it. I took him over to the Bible study over at Dunwoody Baptist Friday, and he gave his testimony.
Yeah.
And so he grew up a Catholic, and he's finally waking up and smelling the coffee. I've been talking to him a little bit, and during all this process, he's lost everything. I mean, he lost his family, lost his job, he had no money, he gets Social Security. And a boy that he played with in high school is letting him live in a bedroom till he gets over this. And talking to him this morning, and all this, his dog died. And he started crying. And I said, well, what you gonna do with it? What are you gonna do with the dog's body? He said, I'd like to take it over to that place in Shamley and have it,
Taxidermy.
they cremate it and all that kind of stuff and have a little ceremony. Cause when his wife walked out on him, that dog became his friend. A dog has a sixth sense about your emotions and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And that dog would come up and when he was going through this process of trying to get a kidney and get transplant, it kept him alive, it kept him encouraged. And that dog has died now, and I'm gonna take him Friday, over there to that cremation, and just kinda let him deal with that, cause he's now by himself totally. He don't have no friend, no wife, no kids, he's by himself, and I'm trying to hang on with him and get him back to where he can get a job, and he had a real estate license, until all this came on him, he lost his license. But I'm gonna take him Friday, and I'm gonna take him to lunch, and then I'm gonna take him over and let him do his dog thing. And, but you said take one person,
There he is.
right there he is, bro.
And he's not alone, cause he's got you.
Well, that's it.
So, plus he's got Jesus, but he doesn't know it yet.
Well, he's finding out.
Okay.
He's finally admitting, as a Catholic boy, he's finally,
That means you got low self-esteem, cause that's what they beat you out of.
well, yeah,
Because you're-
but I'm finally listening and hearing Jesus' name come out of his mouth.
Good.
All right.
Yeah, that's a big hurdle to get over.
That's a big hurdle, man, for a Catholic boy.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but see, when he gets that job, I've already got him a deal lined up
Oh, cool.
that he can get a commission on. And I ain't taking a dime, and I'm gonna let him have all the commission, cause he needs to get
Yeah.
back on
But
his
you're a
feet.
giver, not a
Yeah.
taker. See, that's the law of reciprocity. So, yeah, but that's who you are.
Well, it's not so much me, it's
Yeah,
just,
no, it is you. Now quit saying that. That pisses me off when you say that.
Well,
It is you.
but
It's in your
but he
heart.
needs it worse than me.
You don't need nothing. All you need to do is be there to provide.
Yeah.
You're a provider. You're a
Well,
giver, not a taker.
Yeah.
You got that? You understand that?
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay, well then quit saying this other crap. It's not true. Because you're going against God's promise that He made to you.
But I'm gonna fulfill the promise then.
That's
I'm gonna
exactly
handle it.
right. Yes,
Yeah, I'm
exactly.
gonna handle the situation.
That's what we're down here to do.
That's right.
We're here to what? Fulfill what God is
Yeah.
giving His people.
Yeah.
Well, you're a fulfiller,
So-
however you want to say it. But don't, it's not me. Yes, it is you.
Well,
No, there ain't no will about it. It ain't about the church. It ain't about
No.
earning crowns. It's not.
it ain't.
But it's you fulfilling the
One person.
responsibility. Yeah, one.
Trying one
That's all
person.
it does. And when He gets all that, and He will, because you know why? Because you believe it. It's up to you.
Yeah.
It's your belief system.
Yeah.
Which will fill Him full of belief and love. And when He's got that, it don't matter if he got any kidneys or not. It ain't about kidneys. Anyway, it's about his belief in God.
Yeah.
See, we're so much more than the physical body.
But see, he had,
Hey, one thing, and this is like important, so people say like, oh, it's not me, it's God, like, that basically,
Try to
what
be
you're saying is
humble.
this,
No,
it's false humility. So
yeah.
here's the
False
thing,
humility.
is, and I used to think, oh, I'm just a bag of shit, but God loves me, So humility is believing what God says about you. So if you believe you're a son of the Most High God, you're blessed, you have the same power Jesus has, you are a king in this world, you're not God, but you're a God, and you have the same power He does, and you tell people that's actually humility, because you're saying,
Yeah.
I believe and agree with what God
well,
says.
all I'm doing for him.
Pride is
love him.
saying, like,
I'm just loving him.
But that's all
Oh
you
yeah,
do.
but pride, like I feel if you said, oh, people say, well, my sin's too bad for God to forgive me. Basically, that sounds like, oh, you're humble, but it's really pride, because you're saying,
Yeah.
I'm so special,
Yeah.
and I'm so special, even though it's on a bad and a negative side, that God can't forgive me.
Yeah.
So it sounds the opposite, but like, people say that, all this, like, oh, that's not me. Like, of course it's you. God put that inside you, and He,
Yeah, He put it in- He
and
put it
if
in my
you do
way.
that, oh yeah.
To love on him.
Exactly, love on people, yeah.
But you bring him to you.
Yeah.
So that's who you are. Your heart's sending out those
Yeah.
waves to bring him to you. 'Cause you
And then
know-
he
Yeah, I'm
sees
not,
your love
I'm not the
Jesus.
last guy that's hadn't given up on it, man.
Well, it's because of
And he-
him. See, he's pushing everybody out.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't know it, his heart's saying, look, I'm a worthless piece
Yeah.
of crap. Don't get around me. I'll ruin your life too if you don't bring me.
Exactly, yeah.
Look at the history of my life.
Yeah.
But he does that, but you won't see, you're not succumbing to that. Because
Right.
you're a child of God.
That's right.
And it doesn't affect you that way, but it does most people. Look, everybody creates their own reality.
Yeah.
Good, bad, indifferent, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. And even some people don't even know they're doing it. But their heart's sending out these waves all these improbabilities that are out there and the possibility, they collapse into that possibility because why? Because that's what you believe. And you don't have to be born again to do this. This is the way we're all built. This is the way God does it. So yeah, and that's what he's done. He's created all this crap to prove to himself that he's worthless because that's what the church did to him.
Yeah.
See?
Well, he's an alcoholic too, he's gone over
Well,
that.
once again, that's the same genre
Oh, yeah.
that they put on you.
But that comes from all the condemnation they grew up in.
Yeah,
Saying
yeah.
bad crap.
You're right.
You gotta go to the Father and get in that booth and hubba bubba all your sins, or, and we'll get you out of purgatory if you write us a check.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
that's the Catholic, see? Not just that.
Not just Catholic, just the whole,
That's what I'm saying.
religious thing.
Yeah, most all religions.
Man-made religion is all about condemnation.
It is not.
and obligation.
God didn't teach, Jesus didn't walk around and say, I'm a Baptist, Catholic, Methodist, Presbyterian,
No.
Church of God, all this other stuff. He said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life.
yeah,
Well, that's what we do. We walk down, we are the way, the truth, and the life because we agree with what Jesus said. See, that's the link. We made the circuit. We're
Yeah,
ambassadors.
every time I've talked to him, I try my best to always mention Jesus and his love and his, what he did for us. And he is sin, he is absorbing that, he's taking that on
They
now.
have to because they ain't got nothing else. What else have they got? They got nothing. In his estimation of the world system.
That's true.
Yeah, it's gone. It doesn't matter. It got nothing to do with it. It's about his belief,
Yeah,
and you're showing him if you'll believe like I believe, then he's going to say, if I believe like Eddie, then I can have what Eddie had.
Yeah.
But that's a crooked way, but that's the way the mind works.
yeah,
But it's even more than that. But that's okay. You're getting him started. And he's asking.
yeah,
So see, you just send him lifeline love all the time.
Yeah,
Because his
I-
heart cannot take it.
last time I was with him, I prayed for him, and I prayed that light, loud, and love for him.
Good. That's what he needs.
Yeah, it is.
Because you've got to counteract that 70% of fear that's been planted in him since the day he was conceived in his mama's
Yeah.
womb. See, that's what we pop out. 70% of when we get into this world, the world's teaching us through our senses fear. That's why everybody has so low self-esteem. See, because 70% of that is built on you're a dirty dish rag.
Yeah,
And that's what your church teaches us. Most all churches teach us that. We have to earn our relationship with God. And that's not true. It's based on belief. And you get to choose. We all do. How do? Well, I gotta take this off.